It's that time for me to wrap up all the books that I read in February and give you my thoughts and my feelings on them. I had kind of a mediocre month, to be honest with you. Only one DNF though, so that's exciting. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my February wrap up. We are going to be talking about all the books that I read. We are going to be going over my thoughts and feelings on how the month even went in general. Before we get into that, please make sure that you always like and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. Also make sure you check my description box below for my links to my socials, my Pango Books account, my Patreon, my Fable book club, and also 10% off the entire Bookish Box website. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the only DNF that I had in February. Granted, February was a short month. I actually kind of didn't enjoy the books. We'll get into that, but the book that I DNF'd was Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I do not like this book. I, again, knew that going into this before I even started, that it was an epic fantasy. A lot of people have told me that if you like Name of the Wind, you would love Empire of the Vampire. I absolutely hated Empire of the Vampire. Not that the writing was terrible, not that it was a terrible story. It just was not something that hit for me. It's epic fantasy. It's one of those books that I could not get into. I don't know if it was the way the story was written or what. So Name of the Wind, I will not lie, I made it barely 100 pages in. I tried to stay in the story. I tried to understand why we were talking to this guy and learning his history and learning what he had been through. I just didn't care. It's not that the writing is terrible. It's just the way that it's written, the way that the story is being told, the way that the characters really felt like very flat for me. I know that that's not everyone's take. I know there are so many people that love this book. It just wasn't for me, so I did DNF it. All right, so we have the DNF out of the way. Let's talk about the other books that I actually completed. So the first book that I read in February was Storybound by Emily McKay. I did start reading this towards the end of January. I didn't get very much into it, but I did finish it up fairly early in February. This book I had so many hopes on. I loved the premise. I loved the synopsis. I loved everything about this, and I gave it 2 stars. And here's why. This book is about a girl who has moved around quite a lot. Her mother kind of works out of the home, is gone quite frequently. She is an avid reader and she really loves this one book series, which is like a fantasy book series. It's called The Traveler Chronicles, and there is a main character named Kane. He's kind of morally gray. He tries to do the right thing, and our girl is absolutely in love with him. One day, whenever they are living in Austin, it's their newest town that they're living in, she walks into a bookstore. She takes this bus and goes to the bookstore whenever her mom is gone for the weekend. Whenever she walks in, she steps into a whole nother world. And actually, it is the Traveler Chronicles world, and things go from there. We find out things about our female main character that allows her to do this, and in this world, it's very unique because the world that Kane is in is actually a real realm, and people that write about this realm or other realms is from these, they're not mages, but they're these high-powered people that go into the mortal world, the human world, and kind of inspire or be a muse for writers, and they kind of just write about these real people in these real realms. Now, granted, not everything is 100% factual, which is something that we realize. However, I did not like the writing in this. Maybe it was the way that the characters were portrayed, the way that they were brought about on page, but our girl, she is not even a 3D person, to be honest with you. The way that she talks, the way that she acts, the way that she goes about telling Kane what is going to happen in his world, she just doesn't even act like anything is a big deal. It just didn't feel real to me. Like, read a book and get lost in moment where I can see it play out in my head. Our girl, I didn't like her. I really didn't. I also didn't like Kane because every 5 seconds he was like, you know that I'm not the real Kane. You know that that is not me. And I'm just like, yes, Kane, we know that. We have established that on page 20. We are on page 200. We do not need to hear about that anymore. Overall, it just felt really flat for me. This really isn't a romance because she is 17 and he is like 20 or something like that. I highly suggest not trying this one. I really don't feel like it's gonna hit anyone's love. I really don't. I think that unless you like books that are very like one-dimensional, that are very like flat and monotoned and, you know, you just want to pick it up just to fly through it, sure. But I'm very disappointed. Again, we did not start off February very well at all because what is this mess? This is Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale. I'm sorry, I do not like to be a negative person, but I have to be honest with you because I don't want you to go out and pick this book up and think, oh, you know, Jen over here at Enchanted Rose Books loves this series. No. No, I don't. So this book, let me try to summarize it for you. Our girl's parents are killed tragically, like well before this book even takes place. She ends up having to go to this university. The moment she walks in, there are these 5 guys that instantly are like, she's our mate. We want her. We're going to protect her. And our girl is just like, what is happening? She knows nothing about her, you know, real life or what she is supposed to be. They just instantly are just drawn to her. It was insta-lovey. For it only being like 300 pages. No, it was only like 210 pages. This book is so insta-lovey, so quick to the punch, and there's no depth to the characters. There's no depth to the plot. You don't even understand what's happening in the first book. You have so many multi-POVs, and I understand that it probably gets better in book 2 or book 3. However, I also have heard that it doesn't get better. Take that what you will. It is a why choose. It is hot. It is spicy. It is quick and to the point. So if you like that, definitely give it a try. Deals with dragons. It's a why choose. Very insta-lovey. It would be a quick read, but I don't really think you're going to get any substance out of it. So after that, I decided to pick up my arc of The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. This book turned everything around for me in February. I gave it 4 stars. I loved it. I need book 2 immediately. This book is pitched as The Selection meets The Cruel Prince. I would say that is very on point, to be honest with you. This book, so good. You have fae in here, and they are not your lovely fae. They are the ones from like folklore. They do bargains, and if you do a bargain with the fae, you kind of have something happen to you or something's taken away. It is the season for finally the High Queen's son to find a bride and settle down and marry. So in brings like 30 something girls, I think, and you have to go in to see the queen one by one. You have to ask her for something and she'll take it away. It's like making a bargain, but you don't remember what you asked for. You don't remember what was taken away from you or what was given to you, and nobody knows. So our girl has a reason for why she is wanting to enter this, why she is wanting to win this, because her sister had went to the queen, had given up something. Now her sister's kind of mad, I guess, losing it and not really there, and she doesn't remember anything. She was missing for a short period of time. No one knows where she was. She doesn't even know where she was, and she's trying to unravel this mystery. She gets there on the first night, and there is like this ball. They have this dancing going on, and somehow, I'm not going to tell you what happens actually, because I think you need to go read it. It is so good. There's a mystery plot to this. There is a very, very good romance. It is well developed. Plot is very well thought out and fleshed out. I feel like if you liked The Selection, this book is like 10 times better than The Selection because you have your fae, you have a massive plot, a mystery, world depth, things going on. So I just suggest, please go check this out, because the love interest in this, you would not have imagined who the love interest would be. You wouldn't even imagine what our girl is willing to do. Plot twist that happens at the end. The mystery just unravels and you are just shocked. I was so gripped by this book and I loved it. 4 stars, hands down. This is a book to pick up. Then I read our Patreon book club pick, which was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I'm so happy that we read this in the month of February. I couldn't stay away from spoilers. I was trying to, and thankfully, none of the big spoilers were spoiled for me. But oh my goodness, this author. Okay, this author. I loved Fourth Wing, was kind of mediocre with Iron Flame. I was kind of over the whole, we're going to class, we're going to learn some more. I thought we were past it. This book, oh my goodness, it almost picks up right where Iron Flame leaves off. There's like a little bit of a time jump, but we are trying to find out things about Andarna and where she comes from. We are trying to help the rebellion. We're trying to take things down. We're trying to save our lovely Xaden. So many things happening. The ending of this, my jaw was on the floor and I was like, we have to wait at least a year and a half minimum until we get the next book. I don't know how I'm going to survive. I need to know what happens. What happened? Oh my goodness, you guys. I'm telling you, the cliffhanger was mean. Okay, so I can't tell you much about this, of course, because it is the 3rd book in a 5-book series, I believe. But if you love dragons, if you love spicy romance, you love a war on the horizon, a group of found family that have banded together, trying to bring peace back to this world, trying to win this war, you will love this series. I gave this book 3 stars only because the very beginning was a little bit of a mixed bag, to be honest, because I was like, what is happening? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that type of thing? Yeah, but by the end, I was fully on board. Can't wait for the next one. And then coming off that high of the ending of Onyx Storm, I have my first 5-star read of 2025. My very first one. I'm so excited, and it is one of those I didn't expect to give this 5 stars, maybe 3 stars at most. Didn't expect 5 stars, and that is A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. If you guys didn't watch my videos in December and January, I almost unhauled this book. Okay, I almost unhauled it because I was like, I don't think that I'm gonna like it. I don't really like the premise or the synopsis of it. So I put this book and The Courting of Bristol Keats aside, and they were, I need to try them before I unhaul them books. So happy I did. So happy. 5 beautiful, glorious stars. In this world, there are dragons and there is humans. So it is set in our real world, but at a time of World War II. And that comes into play really big in this book. We're in England. Our prime minister has a treaty, I guess, with the Queen of the Dragons. Oh my goodness. Okay, there is a rebellion on the horizon because why wouldn't there be? There's always a rebellion somewhere. There is a little class system. You have the 3rd class, 2nd class, and 1st class. And of course, 3rd class is the ones that are the poorest or the ones that have been demoted down there. They are trying to rise up and rebel. Our girl is part of the 2nd class, and she has some regrets because she did some things to get her to where she's at, and she feels horrible for it. So you find out about that. One night, the university person comes to visit her home, have dinner. She is expecting to be accepted into this university for dragon languages. Our girl can speak all of the dragon languages and several human languages as well. So she's expecting to go. Something happens. Okay, her world is turned upside down. She ends up being recruited by the prime minister, where she's being told that if she doesn't do this, then her family's basically going to be executed. So she's trying to free her family. She goes to Bletchley Park. If you are any historians, I didn't know this until I was telling my husband about the synopsis of this book, but Bletchley Park was a big pivotal role, I think, for England in World War II back in those times for like code breakers and things. So our girl goes to Bletchley Park with this kind of cast of characters who don't even belong together, but they're put together, and she's having to decode these frequency waves. I don't know exactly what it's called. I can't remember, but she is tasked with trying to decode this because they are trying to learn about what the dragons are saying to each other so they can, you know, kind of trying to take reign of the dragons, stop the rebellion, all of these things. There are some twists and turns. There is a mystery going on. There is basically World War II getting ready to start, but in a fantastical sense, not the one that we know from history. And our girl's in the middle of it. She can stop it. There is a little bit of a romance. I don't really think there's really any spice. If there is, it's so minimal. I don't even remember it because the story is so good. If you like your time frame to be in like a World War setting, if you like war stories but historical fiction, but you want them fantastical with a little bit of a romance, a mystery, a rebellion, I need to know more. I need the next book immediately. Hands down, I think this was a debut author as well. Knocked it out of the park, so to speak. So A Language of Dragons is absolutely amazing. 5 stars. I hope you pick it up. I then read my Fable book club pick of the month, which is A Touch of Poison by Claire Sager. It is book 2 in the Tenebrous Court series that she has. I gave this 3 stars. Okay. I liked it, but I didn't like it. I was chatting with Vanessa, who is a Patreon member. I think we were reading it at around the same time, but we weren't like buddy reading it, so to speak, but we also were keeping each other updated. It was kind of nice to kind of bounce my thoughts off with her, but starting out, I was kind of bored. I didn't feel like the momentum that we built up at the end of the first book really kept up the pace until you get probably halfway through, and then things start ramping up again. You start getting answers. There are some twists. There's a mystery. There's a whole lot going on. I'm excited to get into book 3. I'm hoping that things just keep picking up pace and we don't have another slog like we did at the beginning of book 2. But I'm excited. I feel like our characters kind of took a step back a little bit, but towards the end, our girl, I feel, really stood up for herself. Her character development was so well put together at that point. I kind of like our love interest, but I'm not fully in love with him. He has moments where I'm like, whoo, Bastion. Then I have a lot of moments where I'm like, I'm really not into you. It's kind of a weird situation. I'm excited to continue on with this. This is dealing with a Fae court. The queen needs to marry. These eligible bachelors are there. Our girl is supposed to spy on them because she needs a Fae husband. The person that she is meant to spy on is someone that she had previously stolen from. Things are already muddy in the waters, and it kind of goes from there. I enjoy it. I tell everyone, you know, try it out. I know that we have one Fable member who isn't continuing on with the series, and I don't blame them because I can understand why they didn't. Honestly, I even thought about DNFing book 2. I'm going to get book 3. I'm going to finish the series and hopefully have better thoughts. The next one I read was My Arc of Always by Helen Hart. This is the 3rd and final book in that series from Braden Black's point of view. The original series is the Follow Me series, and it follows Sky, who is a girl from Kansas living in the big city. She works for this big mega influencer, and her boss's rival is Braden Black, and she gets entangled with him. Things kind of go from there. It's very dark. It is a lot like 50 Shades of Grey, but make 50 Shades of Grey with a much better plot, more well-developed characters, an in-depth romance, and actually substance to the story. But there is a lot of spice in it. And then this series, you have Darkly, Under, and Always, and they are all from Braden's point of with you that follow like the same storyline, but we get parts that aren't even seen in the original series because we don't follow Brayden at all. I loved it. I felt like this really wrapped up the story and made everything come full circle. I do plan on reading them again, but what I'm gonna do is read Follow Me Always and then read Always, and you know, just kind of go from there. I highly suggest, if you really like contemporary romances with the 50 Shades of Grey, like all of those tropes and triggers, but you want more substance, a better plot, and a well thought out story, definitely go check out this whole series by Helen Hart. I then read Forged by Malice by Elizabeth Helen. This is book 3 in the Beasts of the Briar series. I gave it 4 stars. I love my men. I love this story so much. I can't tell you what this is about, but let me just tell you what this whole world is about if you don't know. The first book is Bonded by Thorns, where you are following Rosalina, and Rosalina lives in this town. Think Beauty and the Beast, right? She is not wanting to be with this guy, and he's, you know, just like, you're gonna be my wife, and, you know, we're gonna be together. Her father is off trying to find her mother in the Fey realm. She gets a note that her father has been taken captive, so she goes to the Fey realm to try to bargain for his freedom. She gives up her freedom to save her father, and there are these 4 Fey princes. There is winter, spring, autumn, and summer. They all are living there because of a curse. Basically, it's a why choose between all of these men. I love it, but the plot is so good because you're trying to unravel, what is this curse? How do we break this curse? How are we going to save the castle tree, which is where all of them live? And each book, like the first book, really sets up the world and who everyone is. Book 2, Woven by Gold, is about the Autumn Prince. This book is about the Spring Prince. The next book, Broken by Daylight, is about the Summer Prince. And I do think that Elizabeth Helen, they are a sister writing duo. I think they said that we will be in the winter realm. So I'm excited to get more of Keldarian from there. But I loved it because each book is kind of like its own entity, but you can't read them as standalones. You have to read them in order because there is an overarching plot. There's a lot of mixed strings being pulled, people in love with each other, so you have to read them in order. But if you like Why Choose, if you like very spicy romance, if you like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, at least for book 1, definitely go pick out Bonded by Thorns and read the Beasts of the Briar series. I'm so in love with it. The final book that I read in February is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and this beautiful edition that I just bought like a week ago is going to be going to Vanessa because I did give this 3 stars. However, I don't think that I would ever reread this, and I don't think that I really like Kristen Hanna's writing a lot. I loved so many moments in here. I was tearing up towards the end. The ending really did, you know, get to me, but overall I felt myself, at least for the first like 60%, I was kind of bored. This writing is beautiful. The story is beautiful. I think so many people will love this, and so many people have already loved it. So it is me. It is not the book, but I'm happy I read it anyway because it takes place, you start out kind of like in our time, but then you are taken back to World War II whenever our girl is a lot younger, what she goes through, the war, how it's affected families, how it affects her. It was very poignant. It was very well done, but it just wasn't for me, and that's okay. I gave it 3 stars, and this book is going to be loved by Vanessa because she already loves this book. But I'm very happy that she chose for me to read this because I have wanted to read it, but I never like pulled the trigger on it, and she just kind of did it for me. So I really enjoyed it. There were tears. There was a really heartfelt story underneath all those tears, but it's not a book that I need to keep. All right, everyone, those are all the books that I read in February. Please let me know down in the comments below what was your favorite read for the month. Also, any of these books are you looking forward to picking up off of my recommendations or what you heard here? Always leave me comments below. But if you do not want to leave me a comment, but you want to let me know that you were here, leave me either the Eiffel Tower emoji, because I do believe there is that one, or a tower in itself. And if you can't find one, then just leave me a bird. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you in my next video, which should be my February unboxing or book haul. Look forward to that, but thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great day. Bye!